Hi there, welcome to Hey Sound Guy, the podcast where I'll be peeking behind the curtains of the wonderful world of music. Each week I'll be speaking to sound engineers, music industry professionals, and musicians, and we'll share some fun stories from the road. Now, my next guest is a colleague of mine at Boisdale in Canary, Wharf, and also Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club. Great young engineer, and he is a shining example of the resilience I've been going on about, and perseverance. Fantastic story, great motivation. He's currently on tour with 2 bands, and he works at places like Vortex, Coco. Fantastic young engineer. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and only Louis Huddle.
Thank you, Tins.
Thanks for making it down.
Pleasure.
Through the wind and the rain and storm Dennis the Menace.
Exactly.
My God, man. What's going on? It's crazy.
I know.
Yesterday morning I took my daughter to school and it was sort of sleeting.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got home and it was snowing. And about half an hour later the sun was shining and it was warm.
I don't know.
Fuck, bro. What you gonna do?
England.
Global warming, mate.
I know.
Yeah, what you gonna do, right?
Pretty sure the first year in London, I didn't see any rain.
Really?
I keep
Wow.
telling people that, and everyone's like, it rains all the time. I was like,
Yeah.
I somehow managed to avoid it.
You just stuck indoors all the time.
That's probably it.
That's
Just didn't
probably
get
it,
out
yeah.
enough.
Working in dark jazz clubs.
Yeah. That's my
So,
life.
very welcome here.
Thank you.
How I'd like to start is if you could introduce yourself and tell us how you got into this lovely world of sound engineering.
Okay. Well, as I already said, I'm Louis. I got into the world of sound engineering pretty early on, I guess. I mean, I was always sort of messing around with mics, and
Yeah.
I had an old Tascam hard drive recorder.
Mhm.
Can't remember the model, but I was in a band. Well, I say I was in a band. I had a friend that played guitar, and I had a drum kit, and we used to just jam around in a cellar at my house.
Yeah.
And I bought I think I went into like a cash converters, said I want a mic, and they were like, okay, cool, what's your budget? And I was like,
10 quid.
Yeah, 30 quid. And they were like, oh, okay, we've got the perfect mic for you. And
Brilliant.
I was like, cool, what is it? It was a Behringer B2, like a condenser.
Right.
Looks like this Rode, but doesn't quite sound like it.
Yeah.
But it was great, you know.
It was before Behringer got their shit together.
Indeed, it's crackles now. Pretty sure it probably did at the time as well, but didn't really
That
notice
signature
that.
Behringer sound.
Exactly, and when you have the gain like twice as high as it should be anyway, you don't notice.
Yeah.
But it was great, you know. I was playing drums, my mate was playing acoustic and just singing. We used to record like a whole album in a
Great.
day. We called the Smashing Peanuts, and I swear to God, we had no idea Smashing Pumpkins was a band. We just came up with that. We're like, what a great name. And then later on, we were telling my mates, like, oh, like Smashing Pumpkins. And we were like,
Who are they?
who? And they were like, nah, come on, you copied the name, right? No. But yeah, so I was,
Blasphemer.
yeah.
How can't you know Smashing Pumpkins?
I know, it's
I
terrible.
bet you know them now, right?
Yeah. To be fair, I think we were 9, 10 or something. So
That's
that's my
You're
excuse.
excused.
Yeah. But yeah, and he had a Mac actually, which was pretty unusual for that time. Now everyone has one, but he had GarageBand, which was like, you know,
Wow.
there's
So you
delay
had a mic
plugins.
and you had GarageBand and it was...
Yeah, for some reason we didn't buy an interface and go straight into it. We didn't know that existed. So we were going onto a hard disk and exporting that. Took ages, but it's great fun. Don't know if I say I'd really learnt anything about actual engineering there. I don't think I ever touched an EQ or definitely didn't know what compression was, but it was a hobby.
Hey,
and
man.
it started at that age. And it just kept on going up from there, really. I was in a couple of bands after that, and then the singer moved to Scotland, so we broke up. It's like a heavy metal band, and used to do like Slipknot covers and Shikari and
At
all that
9.
all that jazz.
Or was this when you were
I was
13
now
probably?
12, yeah.
All
I
right.
was 12. Had a gig in like this old pub. It was great. It's really good fun, and just had this sort of like drive from then just to do something musical, whatever it was.
That's
Mainly
great.
playing drums, and then the band broke up because he had to move. It's like 2 years later. He's a DJ now. He's called Tisoki. He like he's done some pretty big
Okay.
shows.
Wow.
See him touring around the place. But you know, all of us actually out of this band are doing something music related now,
That's
which
fantastic.
says a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I sort of, that fell apart and had this drive, and I was drumming on my own, practicing, and I was like, it's not quite the same.
It's not so much fun playing with yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Not at that age. So
Well, actually, at that age, it's a lot of fun. Happens all the time.
yeah. Sorry, Mum. Yeah. So we were doing. Yeah. So that broke apart, and then I got Fruity Loops, and started just making electronic music, and that's when I discovered what an EQ was. And then
Sweeping filters and stuff.
Yeah, sweeping filters, white noise, and yeah, just like I was making music, and then I realized I was spending most of the time actually mixing it without realizing.
Yeah.
But I'd sort of get a kick drum, which probably sounded fine, but I'd just spend like hours just like putting 10 different EQ plugins on.
Right.
In hindsight, it was awful. I ruined everything I created, but it was a good way to learn.
Yeah, man.
And then during A levels, my music tech teacher had like all the Waves plugins, so like I got them at like the age of 16.
Wow.
In the school studio. So I was just messing around with that, and to be honest, I didn't know what the hell I was doing really. I feel like that might be like a difference with people getting into it nowadays, whereas like back in, I don't know, before like digital era, people had limited control over what they were doing.
Yeah, and before the internet and before all that.
Yeah.
You know,
So, you know, if they had a compressor, it's like, whoa. You know, most people, I guess, mixing, starting out would be on like an old Mackie desk or whatever, and you'd have a free EQ parameters and some gain, and that was it. But I actually think that's probably a better way to learn, because I was sort of surrounded by all these different things, you know, tape emulators, different compressors, and I was just overusing them.
Right.
And then sort of
like, well, I've got 100 plugins, I better use them all.
Exactly. And
twice.
Well, like literally, I'd just be EQing up on one EQ, then I'd put another one down, and then be undoing what I was doing. Yeah. So.
Oh, this kind of sounds like it did when I recorded it. Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. But then I guess the first work I got, I mean, I was always kind of going around venues at a young age, sort of got some shadowing things. I really annoyed the engineers actually, because I just asked questions non-stop. And one guy I was sort of shadowing at this place called Epic Studios in Norwich, where I'm from. And the guy just said to me one day, he's like, "You're doing my head in, Louis. Like, you keep asking me questions, and I can't work." And he never asked me back. So the next venue I went to, I was like, "Right, just stay low, don't ask questions, just
bring a notepad,
watch them, and just stay in the background." And he was really nice, a guy called Lee Malcolm in Leeds, when I was living up there. And he was sort of like, I was probably 18, and he was like, "If you keep on doing it, I'll show you how to turn all the amps on, and, you know, eventually you'll get some shifts." But before that happened, I left Leeds and went to London. So I never actually had any work, or like proper paid work. And then I started volunteering at the Vortex Jazz Club in Dalston. And that was when it really started. Yeah, I mean, again, I wasn't being paid, but I was doing gigs. And like, it was. I think the first gig was actually Ian Shaw.
Oh right, brilliant.
Yeah, it was. I remember him coming up to me mid-show, because they had a break in between sets there, and I was doing too much, because he goes on and off the mic quite a lot. You know, that's part of his show.
You were riding the fader.
I was riding the fader the whole time.
Now you got to leave Ian alone to be Ian.
Yeah. He came up to me and he was like, "Yeah, I know you're new, but just stop touching the fader. It's really putting me off." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And after that, I sort of realised that actually you don't often need to do as much as you think.
As you think you need to do, yeah.
That was some great, turns in my sort of sounds knowledge doing Vortex. There's another gig I was doing, and I just as an announcement mic, this guy called saxophonist called Martin Speak was performing, and just as his announcement mic, I'd sort of put a load of top end on and taken out some low end because I was like, what sounds clearer? And he went off the mic and said, my voice sounds like this, or my voice sounds like this. Why are you making it sound like that? And then that was another point. I was like, oh yeah, I'm not actually...
Did you do this during the gig?
Yeah. But, the point was, I'm not trying to make it sound better or pristine. I'm just amplifying what's happening on stage. And it was great because...
I mean, what they don't understand sometimes is you have to tailor each microphone to fit into the box.
Yeah.
Because you've got, as I've explained a few times, if you imagine, say, 0 or minus infinity to 0 dB, which is, let's say the threshold of pain is at about 120, right?
Yeah.
And you got 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. So you got this little rectangular box, right? And you've got 12 instruments that you got to fit in there. And if you've got 7 instruments, which resonant frequency is around the 1K area, and then it's going to cause a problem. So what they don't always understand is that you have to carve things out.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you try and keep it, as true a representation as you can.
Yeah.
But sometimes you gotta cut and hack a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially in smaller places.
Exactly,
I mean, I've never been to the Vortex.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like there, but I know, especially in places where the PA is maybe subpar, where it's something that somebody got in. It's a couple of Mackie speakers and a couple of Wharf-Dales and a couple of this, couple of that. Everything's, and the system isn't tuned right or whatever, right? Then sometimes you got to do a little bit more work, and it's not always. If you have an instrument or a vocal on its own, it's not quite going to sound as they want it to. But once it's part of the whole, it makes sense. So I mean, I really hate when musicians do that. When they I get that as well all the time. I had a soul singer at Boisdale a little while ago who is somebody, I guess, or used to be somebody, and he didn't turn up for sound check. Band was there and they're like, oh, this is what he wants, this is how it is. Try and do what you can without a singer there and an 8-piece band. You're
just praying that they're a loud vocalist.
2 keyboard rigs, drums, bass, guitar, a couple of BVs, horns. Like it's a big band.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff happening on stage, and then you gotta pump this guy up to 11. And then he kept saying to me, "My vocal isn't loud enough in the monitor during the gig." Oh man, just either turn up for sound check. Or shut the fuck up. Yeah. Right.
And it's so tricky with vocals as well because it's half of it is down to them.
They're very precious.
That as well. Yeah. But I think a lot of them don't realise that, again, this headroom that you're talking about, you've got a box that you can fit it in, and especially in monitors, like there's only so much you can do if they're whispering into the mic.
Yeah, there's
I
really
can't turn you up to sing louder.
Yeah.
I've had that problem.
Project.
Yeah, I had that problem up upstairs at Ronnie's. It was the first time I was doing an upstairs gig on the Jam on Ruby Sings, and first vocalist comes up, she's literally like whispering into the mic, nothing.
And then everybody's looking at you.
And then I can hear it's at the point of feedback, and it's like, well, there's no point in me touching it, but everyone's saying like, turn up, because they've never seen me before, so fair enough, they probably think he doesn't know what he's doing. Next vocalist comes up, blasting out, way too loud, and the guy's like, there you go, you've turned it up. I was like, I haven't turned it up.
Touched it, mate.
I haven't touched it. It's the singer. But hey,
not really much you can do. Sometimes you just gotta shrug your shoulders and just take it. Those jams are bane of my existence, man. Sometimes they're really good. I love the jams, and I love what they stand for and what they do.
Yeah.
You know, they bring new people in, and they expose people, and they give people who don't necessarily have a band yet or those opportunities
to do anything.
Yeah, something that gives them that opportunity. So yes, 100%.
Definitely
do that.
And sometimes it's amazing. You know,
what I don't appreciate is when you know, with the greatest respect, some fucking no one comes in and doesn't do their job as a singer or as an instrumentalist, and then we get the blame for that.
Yeah.
But you know, as I've said many times, it's a sort of like a time earned skill to grow a thick skin.
Yeah.
And just be like, you know.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And also, if you can, with those people, because I get that as well. You know, where vocalists, they just don't sing, and then the father or somebody, can you turn her up? Can you turn her up? And then you if you explain to them, you know, you show them that you know what you're doing, or you know what you're talking about. Yeah. Then they'll be like, oh, okay. Next time we'll work on that.
Yeah.
It's good. Go away and work on it, because. I'm not saying this for me. I'm saying it for you, whoever you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Go. Yeah. These are things. Doesn't matter where you can play the fucking Royal Albert Hall. If you whisper into a microphone, nobody's gonna hear you.
Yeah.
You know, there's only so much you can do with a microphone, and especially smaller spaces where there's many musicians on stage. There's a lot of sound traveling around, and now you got to turn monitors up and up and up and up and up. And then you have to make the decision: are you going to oblige the musician, and in that possibly causing feedback, or are you going to keep it safe and then they just need to buckle? You know. So yeah, it's a hard one. But I mean, I would rather. I mean, I always try and appease the musician as much as I can. To the point of where I'm like, okay, this is my line, that I cannot go any further, because now I'm running the risk of upsetting 200 other people. Yeah. Right, rather than just you. Yeah. You're a professional musician, you should really be able to just get on with your job.
Yeah. Totally. But like, your job is also to make them feel comfortable. That's like
100%. That's the primary goal. For me, that's my primary goal. I want to make the musicians happy. Again, you have to kind of see gig to gig if it's a fucking jam, and you know, every Tom, Dick, and Harry comes up and sings. Yeah. There are variabilities there that's unforeseen, that you can't handle. If it's the main act that you've had a sound check with, hey, you're gonna do whatever you can, and then you also have time to explain to them. Listen, guys, right? Okay, we're here at the very edge. Yeah. Okay, so one of two things is going to happen. I'm going to turn you up, and it's going to be feedback, and you're going to have trouble throughout the show. Or all of you collectively can just turn down a little bit, realize that you're in a small space. This isn't Wembley. Yep. So, you know. Yeah, yeah. But look, I mean, we're very fortunate, you know, working at Ronnie's. Yeah. With the level of musicians that come through there, it's... they know what they're doing, and they're happy to strike some kind of compromise the majority of the time.
And a lot of them have played there before. You know, you get a lot of regulars, I guess you could call it, and they know the room, and they know how to play, especially the drummers. You know, like a lot of them come in, and you know, I've seen them at other places, and you know, they come into Ronnie's and they say, "Look, I know I have to kind of tone down a bit for this room," and it works.
Yep. Bring the brushes out.
Yeah. Sit right at the back of the room.
Yeah. Well, if we could, we'd put them in the back room as well.
I know.
I'm only kidding. I make that joke with drummers sometimes, and they sometimes they laugh and sometimes they don't.
Yeah. Got to be careful sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I don't care, man. I really, you know, I've
grown a thick skin, I guess.
Very much, but also, you know, I've been there a while, luckily, and you know, I always go in there with a strong sort of, as I say, with a strong offense, if you will. Like I go and present myself straight away, and I'm like, hey, here I am. Yeah, this is what I do. Let's do this. Yeah, right. And then a bit of joking goes. You know, they see that this guy's just, he's a fucking clown. At least if he can't do his job, he'll amuse us. Yeah. But in that, I have screwed up a few times, with maybe saying the wrong thing, unintentionally.
You can never tell.
Unintentionally, there was a lady who I did the announcement for her. She comes to Ronnie's once a year for like 6 days. And I used to do the sound for her every time she comes around. And the last time, I was trying to be complimentary, right? I was, and I was like, so here she is, the lady of the night. And as I said that, the entire club erupted in laughter.
Lady of the night, right?
And I'm like, no, you guys, that's not what I meant. I meant she's the star, she's the lady of tonight, here she is. And she made a little joke about it, and then halfway through the show, she came and started shouting at me. And then this was day 2 of a 6-day run, so I still had another 8 shows to do, and it was rather uncomfortable. And I mean, it doesn't matter how many times I explained to her that I was trying to big her up, she just wouldn't have it. So yeah, I guess on that occasion my radar failed me.
Yeah.
What you gonna do?
Yeah, I generally just stick to a routine,
stick
structure.
To the script.
Yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of people go off it, and it's great when it works. But I'm just like, there's going to be that one day where I just do exactly that.
Yeah.
Someone's going to take it the wrong way. But hey,
fuck them. Right. I mean, I know my intentions.
After 8 years of working there, maybe I'll say the same. But
I know how I meant it and what I was trying to do.
Exactly.
So really,
they should understand that. But hey,
I think she just didn't like my beard. I don't know. I gotta think of something.
Yeah.
Right. So you were working at the Vortex, and you had sort of a learning curve with the EQing of the mics.
Yeah.
Where did you go? How long were you at the Vortex for before you started getting paid, or did you ever get paid there?
Well, I did like a week. Actually, it's a lie. When I moved to London, I was paid like, I won't say how much, but a little bit. Sort of
a lot, or a little bit nothing.
A little bit. Let's just call it that.
Leave it there.
Yeah. Don't know if it was minimum wage quite, but hey, great place. I really liked the people that gave me a chance there, and it was amazing. But I was there about 2 years actually, and they sort of steadily paying me more and more, which is great. Gives you incentive to do things. And yeah, it was good, but it was limited because the system was terrible, and the desk. I started bringing in my interface and preamps actually, and mixing off that off Reaper. One day that went pretty badly, so I stopped.
You were mixing off Reaper.
Yeah, so I had like an RME interface.
How many channels?
Well, four mic pre's, but then I had some Audient preamps as well. So I had that and Focusrite preamps as well. So I bought in like a rack. Used to get a bus taking a load of mics and gear with me every gig I'd do for barely any money. But I was just like, at least I'm learning. Yeah, man. But one gig the preamps blew up.
Ooh.
So it was like this. Yeah, the Audient preamps are quite like it's quite a depth to them, and then. It was luckily like everything was muted, thank God, or else I'd have blown up the PA.
The whole system.
But
so what happened there?
Well, I just noticed all the red lights. Every channel was just red light, and I was like,
"Is this from startup?"
Yeah, I just turned it all on,
okay.
Set up, plugged in, but I had the master output of my interface muted. Thank God. And just every channel just went to like
11.
Full on, full. I was like, what the hell was going on? I looked at the preamps, and the whole thing had just tilted back. And I think after carrying it for so long in this sort of gator case, the actual screws had come loose at the top. It's such a heavy piece of rack unit that it just started tilting down, and the whole thing blew up.
Oh damn!
So I decided then just to stick to the actual desk that was there. Thought that was a safer option.
At least something goes wrong. It's not your equipment. You didn't fuck up the PA. You didn't blow the system.
Yeah.
You used what was there, and
Yeah.
that went wrong. So
well, yeah,
gives you
no, this was my
plausible
own stuff
deniability.
that went
Yeah.
wrong actually. But
no, I know. I mean,
yeah,
it
yeah.
sucks for you.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if it wasn't muted and you'd fucked up the venue's PA,
then
you understand. Being paid 60 quid a gig, it was going to take you. You know you know why they say breaking a mirror is 7 years bad luck, right? Back in the days of indentured servitude, the people, the workers in the house workers, maids and cooks, and these people, they were paid so little, right? And mirrors were so expensive that if you would have broken a mirror, it would have taken you 7 years' wages.
Is that it? Right.
To pay it back. That's why it's 7 years bad luck.
Right.
So yeah, you would have broken a mirror there.
Yeah.
But at least if you walk in, you know, here I am, I bring these things, that's my tools, and you provide everything, and if something fucks up,
it's on their end.
Yeah, it's your equipment went.
Yeah,
it's and you don't get to fuck up your equipment.
Yeah,
which is also it's also a good thing.
Well, luckily I'd only had it for a month, so got a new one straight away.
Yeah, I mean, Audient are really good, so it's really weird that
it was from Funky Junk, and I took them back, and they were like, "That's never happened." I was like, "Really?" Because it seemed like after I think I had it for about 3 weeks, and I was like, "Come on, like this must have happened before," and they're like, "Nope."
Right.
Don't know. I guess not everyone takes it on a bus on the 271 down Holloway Road. But yeah, couldn't afford Ubers at that point,
mate. Well, at least you were road testing it for them, right?
Exactly.
you should have written a review. After road testing this Audient for 3 weeks,
it blew up on me, and I blew up the Vortex's sound system.
Whoopsie.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, man. Is this gonna go any smaller? I just want to make sure this thing doesn't stop because although it's with Logic, I've not had too much trouble. Pro Tools has failed on me a few times, which is annoying.
Yeah,
especially mid recording,
and you've lost 20 minutes of audio.
No, I from now I keep an eye on it, man. I every now and then I just give it a left glance just to make sure. So yeah, right. So you you had a near boo boo.
Yep.
There, and then you decided to start using their equipment.
Yeah.
And you were there for a little bit longer. Where did you go from there, or were you working at other places?
Yeah, I was working at other places as well. I mean, it all happened really, like all at once after like years of looking for work. Within like 2 months of working there, I actually did an internship in a studio, but that didn't go too well.
Okay.
And then I went back to Vortex, and then my friend was working in this like Poppy's fish and chip shop in Camden, and they used to run gigs every Friday and Saturday, and that was 75 quid a night. And at the time I was like, this is great.
Step up.
Yeah, and it was like 4 hours, and you got food, and it was like, wow, I'm making like £15 an hour almost.
Brilliant.
Which was great. I mean, it's fucking terrible. I mean, you're mixing on this little Yamaha analog desk behind the PA.
That is hard work.
And there was one gig, they booked this like, it was all function bands, and they booked this band, and the singer was so like all of them were so loud. I kept getting complaints, being like, "You can turn it down. Like people are eating. They want to chat." And I turned everything down. And at one point, I muted the master, and they're still getting complaints. And I said to the band, "It's like, look, you need to play drums quieter." And they were like, "Oh, why the fuck did you book us then? Like, you booked us knowing that we were like this. We are a rock session band." And
first of all, I didn't book you.
Yeah. But apparently we do everything, right?
Right, yeah.
I had someone at Ronnie's come up to me and said, "Do you know how to fix the dishwasher?" And I was like, "No." Yeah. It's like, "Oh, but you're an engineer." It's like, "Yeah, audio engineer, not. I don't know how to do that."
I can say nice things to it.
Yeah. But
I can record it.
Exactly, right? I have no idea. So I was there, and then luckily my friend Jack, he worked with Communion Records, still does, and he was like going to gigs, going for free, and I'd just jump along with him. And I remember going to the waiting rooms and seeing a guy who's quite I don't know how old he was, but looked similar, like 20 or something. He's doing sound. It's like, do you make a living doing this? It's like, yeah. It's like, so what do you hear every night? It's like, no, I just go around different venues doing sound. It's like, what? This is possible? Because for me, I was like, this is like, I always wanted to do it, but I'd never worked out how. And I was like, so how do you do it? It's like, well, I'm freelance. And I was like,
there you go.
So suddenly I was like, right, so I just got to go around a load of venues. Eventually ended up at Notting Hill Arts Club for a gig. And it sounded great. I mean, this guy called Neil Bauman, who, don't know if you've come across him, but he's great. And
he's the head guy at
he's done loads of stuff. Brilliant engineer. And he took me in there because I found out he studied at SAE, and I'd mentioned it, and he was coming up the stairs of the club, and I sort of said, great sound, not expecting to get anything out of it. And then he's just like, looking for someone young to sort of start out here. And I was like, okay.
Damn.
And there we go, M32, right. First digital desk. And yeah, it's still there.
Well, congratulations, man.
Thank you. Yeah, and that was the start. So then I had Vortex that were now paying me, Poppies paying me 75 quid a night on the weekends and the occasional Notting Hill shift. And then after that I was sent to Fiddler's Elbow as well.
Okay.
So this was all in like 4 months from having nothing to that, and suddenly I was kind of doing it non-stop, which was, surreal to start off with. And then it got tiring, and then I got jaded, and then I was like, shit, I don't have evenings anymore. And that was like a big thing. I was like, I had a moment where I was like, do I want to do this with my life? Because like going through school and uni, I'd literally come out of uni and got straight into it, and having all the free time in the world being a student and having a very regular routine as a kid, suddenly everything was flipped up on its head, and I was like, okay, so I can't go out in the evenings, I don't have weekends, don't have holidays,
I'd better just get pissed at work.
And here I am. Yeah,
functioning alcoholics.
Yeah.
Have you seen that meme, because you get like your pirate name or your porn star name or whatever, right? And it's like your sad alcoholic name, your first name plus your last name.
I've seen that. So true.
So true.
But man, you don't drink though, do you?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. That's the thing.
I mean, I don't know. I basically just took some time out. It was only meant to be for a weekend. And yeah, it's 2.5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I've I don't know, I've just kind of tailored my life in a different way. As I said before, that it's a lot of fun. I had a good time. It wasn't anything serious, but it was becoming a habit, and I didn't want it to be a habit. Yeah. Right. Because I was working a lot. 5-6 days a week, and I would get pissed every day. Yeah, and it's easy to take a day off when you're not working, but if you're working a lot, it does become a habit. And I was just like, whoa, hold on a second, let's just maybe take a step back. Yeah. And ever since I kind of stopped drinking, I've kind of clawed some of my time back, where I don't go to the pub between 6 and 7. Yeah. I'll do some editing, or I'll when I've written a new
and
song,
also
I'll record
the next
that,
day in the morning. I mean, regardless of whether you have like a horrible hangover, there's always like this kind of because I don't really get hangovers per se. I don't wake up feeling like absolute shit, but I do kind of feel a bit drowsy, and I'm like, I'm not going to do anything until I end up at work. Yeah. But actually,
as soon as you turn the corner, you're like, right, it's 9 o'clock.
Yep.
I know that.
You can get on with stuff. Build tree houses. Shoot bows.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no. Like I said, I've clawed back some of my time. I'm
That's good.
Quite happy.
Yeah.
With I'm not saying I won't ever go back to drinking again. It's just, I don't know. I'll see how long I can go, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a thought on my mind. I mean, I don't drink a lot, but it's a trick, isn't it? I can't think of many other jobs where it's sort of like
accepted or even encouraged.
Yep. Right? Yep. And sometimes I'm like, right, I'm not going to drink tonight because tomorrow I want to wake up and I want to do this, this and this. And then you're there and it's like 3 a.m, just have one. Oh, okay, I had 2. Yeah. And it's just,
Well, at least you start at 3 a.m, not 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Right. That's where the trouble starts. If it's 3 pints or 4 pints between 6 and 7, then you hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Then it's not like you're gonna have those 4 pints and then stop.
No.
Unless, I don't know, you're some kind of fucking yogi, which I don't think any of us are.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, right. So you were coming to grips with this life. And deciding whether or not it's something that you want to do. Mm-hmm. You're still here, so clearly you decided that it is something that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
How was the what was the thought process, and how was the adjustment? Mentally and physically and socially.
I guess, I mean, the venues I started off in, there are very few engineers. Okay. Like Vortex, there's just 2 of us really, which was great because I got quite a lot of shifts straight off the back. Yeah. Fiddler's Elbow, there was 3 of us. Notting Hill at the time, again there wasn't that many basically, and I didn't feel that sort of connected to.
It's very lonely.
Yeah. And plus I was new, and I remember coming into work and I'd be super professional in a way. Like I wouldn't drink, wouldn't really chat. I'd be like, I'm here, I want to prove myself as a sound engineer. But then about a year in, I was like looking at other peers and, not necessarily like engineers, but just people that work in venues, booking managers, bar staff, security. And they were all like having a laugh and having fun. And I realised like, okay, that's your social time. Like your social time is at work.
That's it.
And then suddenly I was involved in that sort of, social life. And rather than just, finishing work, rushing off home, I'd be like, well, there's a club night on, don't need to engineer it, I'll just hang around at the bar and chat to my mates because I know them. Yeah. And suddenly like that, and like getting into other venue, I mean Ronnie's obviously an amazing team. I mean even the WhatsApp chat, it's just like,
I woke up the other day and I went to bed at midnight. I get up at 7:30 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
141 messages.
Yeah.
When these guys get going, it's good. I mean, we're a tight knit group, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
We all get along.
It's lovely.
There's no friction. It's all fucking great. And I mean, it's good that it is that way because oftentimes there will be 3 or 4 of us there.
Yeah.
On any given day.
Yeah.
And to have a good camaraderie is good, and also it's a great support network. If ever there's anything that the guys will support you, and help out wherever they can. So it's nice to have.
I see that. I mean, I saw that instantly. Everyone was just like, whoa. I mean, starting off in smaller venues as well. I mean, some of the people weren't quite. It's
jealousy, and there's unfortunately there's a lot of backstabbing but at Ronnie's it's not like that at all. It's like it's like a family.
Yeah.
And everybody's happy about everybody else's achievements. There's never anything I don't know how that guy got that, or it's all just like, man, we're
great.
so happy
for
that.
You. Yeah. Exactly. And that's how it should be. And I found 100%. The higher you get up in this industry, that's the case, because everyone's happy where they are.
Yeah, nobody needs to pull their dick out and measure it, man. Everybody's like, I've got my thing, you've got your thing. And I think maybe it's another kind of thing that comes with maturity a little bit, and with age. I don't know how old are you? 26?
24.
24. Right, still young in the game. But I mean, luckily you fell in with a group of people who show you how this could be a way to be. We've all got our own things, and we go on tour with these guys and those guys, and then we come back and we do gigs here and there, and whatever happens, we support each other. And it's not, I mean, like the Ronnie's chat is probably maybe 5% of it is anything to do with engineering. And the rest of it is just, people having
chatting
a good time.
about stuff. It's brilliant.
And supporting each other, which is great.
Yeah, especially in this line of work, as we've already covered, it can get lonely in a way, because you're generally, like at the places like Ronnie's and all the venues I do, you're kind of the only tech. I know Ronnie's, you get someone upstairs during sound check shifts. There's 2 of you, but I'm often on late, and like you're there until
they're
3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
I think I've left at 6 in the morning on some pack downs. You're just there on your own, and you got bar stuff and all those
but
guys.
they'll get on with their own thing as well.
Exactly, and they've got a different group, and they don't really know what you do, and they're in a different mindset, because we're freelance, so we do different things, and we're in and out of different venues touring, and it's a passion job, really, isn't it?
It's got to be.
It's got to be,
because if not, you're going to be super miserable.
Yeah.
Like we said, because of the hours, because of the
pressure,
thorny road you have to walk barefoot to get to where you want to be, right? Yeah. Because it's not every year, right? New engineers get churned out by colleges and institutions, and the market's getting more and more saturated, and to kind of stay in there, it's a thing. It's a hard, and to get in, once you're in, it's okay. Once you've established yourself and you made a name, and you've got a few places where you work and people know, okay, Louis knows what he's doing, so we can get him in, and he's reliable, and he'll try and move things about, and you've done that plenty of times, even for me, and so once you're in there, it's better, but to get there, it's hard, right? Yeah. And for some people, it takes years. Right, you're very fortunate in the it happened in about 4 months that you started really getting into it. But I know people who have, kind of had a hard time getting into it for a longer time. And then once you're in it, it can get lonely.
Did you get it?
I got it. He's dead. So it can be lonely, and it's hard, and sometimes there's not a lot of money, and like you said, no holidays or whatever, because either you can't afford it, or you're like, I'm it's just started making a thing here, I don't want to take some time off from this place, maybe I'm going to lose my spot. So it has to be a passion job. Definitely.
That's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man.
Yeah,
it's a great gig. You really the bug bit you when you were 9 years old. That's great. In one form or another. You started playing in the band first.
Yeah.
But you did start recording things, and the interest got sparked, which is great. I was always sort of a bit of music, bit of this technology. I used to build computers and stuff when I was younger. I bought my first computer when I was 13. A friend of my dad had a computer shop, and this is in the day of XTs and 286s and 386s, 2 floppy drives, and you probably don't even remember that.
Right? No idea what you're talking about.
And anyway, we had a double garage full of the stuff: screens, 10 megabyte hard drives, 20 megabyte hard drives, keyboards, and I'm talking about stacked to the rafters. And I just went through every single one of those bits, built the 3 best computers I could build, and I sold those. And through that, I made money to buy my first computer. And it was a AMD Pentium 100 megahertz CPU. I was like, woohoo!
So how did you get into engineering? Because I know you play guitar, right? So
I didn't really start playing guitar until later. I was about 18, just before I turned 18. Really, I started playing guitar. But when I was sort of unfortunate in that I had quite a rare blood ailment when I was between sort of 11 and 14, where my blood wouldn't clot, right? So your blood has got seven main factors, and the blood platelets, which is the thing that makes scabs. My spleen had got the virus when I was about 5 years old. Because do you know what bilharzia is? Right, it's a microscopic slug, right? That's in stagnant water. And it goes in through your skin, and they go sit in your kidneys, in your liver, and in your spleen, right? And they can lie dormant for 10 years, so you wouldn't even know you've got something until the symptoms start showing. And this slug had a bacteria on it that affected my spleen to reverse its function, and instead of helping the bone marrow to create and maintain these platelets, it built an antibody that sat on top of each platelet, and as soon as it exited my spleen, it would just disintegrate. Anyway, so I had to stay home from school. I couldn't do anything, because if you would touch me like that, I would have a sack of blood hanging off me. It was really horrible, right? Anyway, so coming into high school, I was still ill, and one of my seniors was he was like one of the heroes of the school. He was a great guy, good friend of mine. Unfortunately, he died a few years later of cancer. But he got me into it because he came to England, then he went back and he studied sound engineering, and because he was still away at college, he introduced me in the church where we went to do the sound there, because I would do the sermons where the preacher had a mic and there were some audience mics, and I would record all the sermons.
Right. Okay.
And then sometimes in the evening services we'd have Christian bands playing, so I'd mic them up and do that. So from when I was about 15,
nice,
I kind of got
straight
into that
to live sound rather than
yeah. And I mean, recording onto tape, it's just tape out,
right? Okay.
So I did that. Majority of the time I just went in there, pressed record, and then listened to Pantera.
Nice.
It was great, because I mean, I was not the how would I say, I was a little mischievous.
Right.
I wasn't the best student. I was all right. I did well in school, but I really enjoyed that time.
Yeah.
Is this thing still recording? To go in early and have a cigarette before sermon and these sorts of things.
Right.
And so I started doing that, and then when I finished high school, I went and worked in America, in the Midwest, on a custom harvest crew. So we were combining people's fields from we were in South Dakota, but we started in Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota. So it was a bit of that. So I made money the eye was to make money to study, because I always wanted to get my degree in engineering. I think maybe as a sort of like an honor to my friend who never did finish his degree.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe that's a subliminal thing, but who knows. Anyway, I wanted to do I wanted to study, and I wanted to get my degree.
Brilliant.
But then I didn't quite see eye to eye with my boss, because we just didn't agree on many things. And I was like, I'm not going to go back there. And I didn't want to go start afresh on another farm with another boss. And for me, the kind of thing was, when I left high school, I was like, okay, now I'm an adult, now I'm free, now I'm my own person. I want to make my own decisions, I want to do my things. Obviously I'm going to have a work where I'm going to have to conform to certain rules and obligations, but and when I went to America, it was still very much like a family, because we all traveled together. And the boss, if the boss wasn't there, his daughter was there with her husband, and it was kind of still like a family thing, and we were always all together, and it was just a bit, I didn't feel it, And then some of the mates I met over there, they're like, oh, we're gonna go to London next year, you want to come with us? I'm like, I'm there.
Cool.
Right. And then none of those fuckers came with me. I fucking came by myself. 74 pounds, and that's what I had. So it was an adventure.
Risks.
Yeah, well, it's been a journey. It worked out. I had some hard times, where working construction, having a £10 a week budget, and your bus pass is £8.70 a week. And then I had £1.30 for 3 loaves of bread for the week. So it's like I said, sometimes you have to walk barefoot through a field of thorns to get to where you want to be. But I'm here, and I'm very very happy and very very thankful that that I've had this opportunity. And I have been given this opportunity. But I think it's kind of like what you said, where you need to show an eagerness and a willingness to put yourself out there and sometimes do the unpaid gigs or the low paid gigs or things like that, because that's how I got started. In college there was an optional module, work experience, and I got outvoted. So I went to my my tutor. I said to him, listen man, anything you got, swing it my way. Off the books, on the books, I don't care, man. I don't even want credit for this. I just want to be there. Yeah. Because in my mind, what better opportunity as a working person to have your college organize work experience for you for 6 months in venues and with bands. And I got in with the National Youth Jazz Orchestra straight away.
It, right.
So,
and that's how it started.
Yeah, that was it. Lucky. I mean, I'm very fortunate. My
same.
road isn't quite as hard as other people's road is, because Bill Ashton, the founder of National Youth Jazz Orchestra, his son is Miles Ashton, who's our boss. And I was working with Nigel for about 5 months, and then Bill gave me a call, and he's like, go to Ronnie Scott's, can you go there tomorrow, and then you can meet Miles. I think they might have something for you. I had to Google Ronnie Scott's. I didn't even know what it was, right, or where it was. And I went in there, and it was Miles and Danny Kassane, and they were setting up for a gig, and they're like, "Oh, how you doing? Blah blah. Do you know the LS9 desk?" I said, "Well, not really, but I can figure it out. It's no problem." And they're like, "Okay, well, it's set up upstairs. Go have a look around it, see if you're happy with it, and then come back on Friday. We'll got a little salsa gig for you."
Nice.
And so started there couple of weeks after I finished my degree. So I mean, ever since then I've been with my ass right in the butter.
Yeah. It's funny because when I was at this fish and chip restaurant, do you know Shane Hampshire, the
yes, I do,
singer? Yeah. So he used to do that gig. Yeah, he's a lovely guy. I used to do he used to come with a saxophone player called Fliss Gorst, who runs her own band. She does upstairs at Ronnie's now.
All right.
On Sundays, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is she the gypsy jazz one? What's it called?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ish. Lovely woman. Comes with a vocalist called Lauren Bush as well. But they all did this gig at Poppy's fish shop, and I was chatting. So because I started off at Vortex, Ronnie's was always like a goal. Yeah, that was like where I wanted to be. A lot of the musicians that played Vortex then went on to do late shows, like, they'd do the gig at Vortex, rush off to Ronnie's.
Yeah, they still do that.
Yeah. Actually, that's where I met Alex Garnett, was at the gig at Vortex.
Great.
Just as I'd started at Ronnie's. And he's like, I'm going to Ronnie's. I'm like, so am I. Just did his gig there, his gig at Ronnie's after. But yeah, I met Shane Hampshire and chatting to him. I did his gig a few times because it's the same bands playing every month or so, and then I sort of mentioned Ronnie's, like, oh yeah, no, Miles did, like, I think he said he'd done a gig out in Monte Carlo with him or something.
Yeah, they go out there quite often.
Cool. Yeah,
he does Ray Gelato out there quite a bit as well.
Right.
Which
okay.
is nice.
Yeah, because I've seen it whenever he's doing Boisdale. Miles is on him, so I guess he they get along and they know each other. But I was chatting to him, and he sort of said, well, I could put you in touch with him, like his email. So I emailed Miles like probably 3 years ago or something, like asking about work, and he's like, oh yeah, well, he actually replied, which I've
Miles
now
is
found
a lovely
out.
guy.
Yeah, man, yeah. He replied and said, yeah, just come on down to the late shows, like so something like I've got a great group of engineers already. We're not really looking for anyone, but feel free to pop down for the late show if you want to come along. So I did a few times, but he was never there because he doesn't really tend to do the late.
The elusive Miles.
Yeah. So I was always in, and I used to ask the security guys, like, is Miles in? He'd be like, might be at the pub, but I never saw him. So I sort of, because I was paying to get in as well, and I was like, I can't keep doing this. So I did it like twice, and then sort of was like, okay, well that's out of my league. And then randomly I was at Coco, so that was a big step for me, because I was doing Notting Hill Arts Club, Vortex, Poppies, Fiddler's Elbow, and then suddenly I remembered I had like Eduardo Pool's number, who's the monitor guy at Coco. I used to like I don't know what you call it, not really shadow. Used to work for free for this company that used to do like broadcast, like DJ events. So it was quite, we were down at like O2 Indigo and Brixton O2 actually was the one, I've forgotten what the band was called. Public Service Broadcasting. They're like an indie band. They're really, really good. And I was down there just like coiling cables, doing whatever, just as work experience. This is before I started at Vortex. Still just got into uni in London, and they bought this guy along called Ed, who was on a VI1, which was his own, and he bought a stage box in. He was doing the sounds, the broadcast sound for it live underneath the stage. I was like, how the hell can you mix that? He had two little, I can't remember what monitors they were, but there's like this huge rumble above from the stage, and he was there, with headphones and little probably Genelecs or something.
Well, Genelecs, that's nice.
Yeah, the little.
If you can afford them.
Yeah, well, he had a VI as well, which was his own. So. But he was amazing. I was with him a couple of days ago. But he had his number, and I'd saved him as Ed Coco because I knew he worked there. And like 2 years later, because I wanted to get into studio initially. I think a lot of engineers do, probably.
I did.
Yeah. But then, ended up in live sound, which, now more than happy with. I probably prefer that to studio. Yeah. I was doing work, and I was like, right, well, I'm doing live sound. And I remembered, I was like, I've got Ed's number. Had no idea if it was the right number. I'd never messaged him, never spoken to him since. He would have not remembered me at all. Like, it was one guy, like one day 2 years ago. But I had his number, sent him a message saying, hey Ed, don't know if you're still at Coco, but I'd love to come and like learn the ropes if it's possible. And he just went, I was expecting nothing back from him, because like a lot of people, you get that, and then no reply. Day later, he was like, yeah, come down Thursday, Friday, and I was like, oh, okay, sweet. So I was there, didn't know, I don't think I even knew what a monitor engineer was, like I didn't know that existed, because the gigs I were doing were just front of house monitors, everything. It's like, oh yeah, so I'm doing monitors, and he's actually at front of house at the moment, because Tim Hamper, who was a head tech, I don't know if you heard of him, but he fell down a beer shaft in the back of the venue.
Yeah. It was on the touring engineers the other day. They're help raising funds. Yeah,
it's horrible. Jesus, and but yeah, so he wasn't there at the time. It was Ed and a few freelancers. So he at the time I messaged him, it was probably a time where he was looking for people. But yeah, I went down completely like out of my league. Like I didn't. I went in. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like I'd never seen like a stage box linked to a desk. Touring engineers coming in with their own desk. It's like, what, you do this for gigs? And so I'm a monitor guy. Like, how is this all passive splits? What the hell is going on? So at the start,
what is this witchcraft?
Yeah, I was like, I just had no idea, and it was very obvious that I didn't as well. So I think they were probably like, well, let's not bother with this guy. But I think the reason they kept me on, because I was shadowing there for about a year after that, was I was on my phone. Basically, they had a band coming in, and they hadn't been sent a tech spec. Very normal, typical support band, and they were sort of like rushing around trying to figure out what it would be, and I was sat there on my phone, and I looked the band up on Facebook or something, and I saw Ed just look over at me, and he was probably thinking, shit, student on his phone, doesn't give a shit,
Facebooking.
And I was like, I've got a split second to make sure he knows what I'm doing. So I went up to him and was like, this is a band, this is what they got, drums, bass, guitar, vocals, and he just said, you can stick around. Fantastic. And so from then on, I was down like once, twice a week, however many times if there was a gig, he was on it, and I wasn't working at Vortex, I would be there.
Fantastic.
And it was amazing. Like, just learned from everyone there. And then Tim came back after a few months, and my God, I mean, he's a genius, that guy. I mean, he remembers everything.
Right.
Like everything about anything. You tell him something, and then like a month later he'll be like, oh yeah, I knew you did that, and I'll be like, even I've forgotten I'd done it.
Right.
But he'll remember. So you can imagine, like, as an engineer, he's just like talking about the line array that they have, how it's made, what the tweeters are, and all this. It's
like Miles.
Exactly, right.
Photographic memory and everything. Bastards.
Yeah, I know. Envious. So But yeah, so that was a big step, and and then the place is now not shut for good, but it closed.
Well, yeah, because of the fire. Fucking hell.
Well, no, it was shut for they have
refurbishment, wasn't it? And then fire, and now it's just all sorts of.
I don't know what's going on.
I think I did one gig at the Coco with ceramic,
right?
2016. It was good. It was a nice venue.
Maybe I met you down there. No, 2016 I wouldn't have.
I don't know.
Maybe. Don't know. That's probably a bit before. It's a cool place.
Yeah,
really,
it was lovely.
Really.
Yeah, it was lovely, man. It was great.
Best thing about it, I mean, the staff, like because the production team was reasonably big. You know, like, you always had a stage manager, always had a lighting guy, monitor guy, front of house, and then crew. And then list goes on. So you had like this group, and that's what I was missing from every other place. You know, just be me. And as much as I can chat to a security guard, which is great, you know, it's different interests. So suddenly I was like, you know, rather than chatting about, what's the gig on, I'd be talking about like VIs and like, what's the out here. I was actually learning. It was like doing a degree again. So that was great. And then I met, right before it shut, I met Gaz, who was doing Bruno Major, like he was touring with him, and he was down at Coco, and the guys at Coco knew I was at Vortex, so they knew I was into jazz, and they said, Gaz, he's just mentioned he does Ronnie Scotch, you should chat to him. So I went up to him, and he gave me his number, said, just call me, I'll take you down. And I was actually asking him just to go down to like see how you guys did it at Ronnie's, so that I could take that back to Vortex and like do a better job. That was my initial thinking, because it was like this kind of like it's too so he took me down, and it turns out that, I mean, everyone knows everyone in this industry, it seems, and he started off at Notting Hill as well with Neil. And so I sort of asked him, where do you cut your teeth? I'm like, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's Notting Hill Arts Club. And I was like, no way, I'm there now. So I guess we got along from that. Now we hate each other, but hey, no, sarcasm.
Right. Yeah. He's such a cunt.
Yeah, basically. As is everyone at Brilliance.
I love Gareth. He's he, yourself and Charlie, Wolf, have sort of come up with Gareth. I think, he's done quite a lot. He's presented me with opportunities as well. He got me in with O'Meara,
likewise,
and things like that. So he's a good guy.
He's
nice
really nice, really nice attitude.
He's got a great heart, man.
Really pure, like refreshing.
Guy. Yeah,
nice.
So shout out to Gareth Hunt.
Definitely. He's here tomorrow. Is he? Is he here tomorrow?
I think it's next week.
Oh, okay.
I usually only do it on Fridays.
Right.
It takes a little time to edit these things down.
Right. Yeah.
Not the audio, but the video takes. I've got 3 cameras, and I got to listen through it. And I mean, I've got it down. When I started, it's a long process. Because I didn't know Premiere Pro either. I just went straight in.
Well, I've seen you running off like between sound check and gig time at Ronnie's, going upstairs, bouncing stuff down.
Yeah, it's another labour of love.
Yeah.
And it's a something else that stokes a fire for my main thing. I say it every time. The importance of having hobbies or other interests. Really, just it helps to keep your main focus, or your main purpose, if you will, your main occupation, to keep that. The embers burning.
Yep.
Because I don't know, not 100% sure how it works, but I think it takes your mind away from that a little bit, and it gives you little pauses in between, so your brain switches ideas or functions or whatever. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but I can say personally that ever since I started doing more other things than just going to work and coming home and maybe watching a movie or a series, because I love watching movies. I've always been, when I was my daughter's age, I wanted to be an actor.
Yeah.
I thought I wanted to get into movies. I'd done a lot of acting in high school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy it. But you've got to have other things. So now I build things, and I shoot my bow, and I make biltong, and I make sausage, and I make chocolate, and remind me, I got to give you some chocolate.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think the more and more I get into these things, the more benefits I see from doing them and from having them. Just again, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I think maybe it just creates a little pause in your mind to think about other things, and then when you come back, it's like having a fresh pair of ears or a fresh mind.
Yeah, and also it takes the pressure off, because you realise that it's just, it's not everything in the world. Because this job particularly, I mean, firstly, it can be high pressure. The people you're working for, whether that be a venue or a musician, they can sort of make it seem like it's life or death.
Yep.
And due to wanting to do the best you can.
Well, it's live or death.
Live. Nice. So yeah, it can sort of be a bit obsessive. You can become very obsessive, and I'm sure we all are.
I mean, we want to do a good job.
Exactly, but sometimes you need, as you say, you need to just step back. I mean, I'm still trying to figure that part out. I mean, I've been doing this probably three and a half years, so still very new, and I'm still trying to balance, get a work-life balance. Started going swimming, although recently not, but I'm trying to get into a rhythm and cycling, and it's important.
Yeah,
and it's hard because you can end up working non-stop, really, and you do at certain points, especially touring. I mean, touring can just
so on that subject, you're currently touring with a few, just the one actor, or have you got?
Well, I've got another one now.
Things that you were.
I guess I'm still touring with Matthew and the Atlas, who are an indie band. Great guys. Been touring. I mean, themselves have been touring for 10 plus years.
Right.
That was my first tour. Was May last year with them. UK. Yeah. I was probably buzzing at Ronnie's going, I'm on tour. And stressing the hell out. I mean, I remember thinking that. I mean, the first gig I did with them was down at Patton's in Brighton, about 200 cap venue. It was on an M32 desk, and it sounded,
which luckily because of nothing else.
Yeah. So I knew the desk. It was a room that I guess I was sort of used to, reasonably small, small venue. But I was just so stressed because suddenly I wasn't working for a venue; I was working for a band, and that mindset,
you got to now perform.
Yeah, especially monitors. It was fuck. And that show actually went really well. First one. From every, the house tech was lovely. He was actually he's called Josh Law. He's really good mates, but I think he was down. He was one of the guys that they were possibly going to pick.
Okay.
So he was invested in the night, so he came 3 hours early to sort of let us into the venue. It was right after Great Escape, which happens there. It was the Sunday after Great Escape.
Right. So
they were all do it. I'm so glad you're here. Just do the sound. I'll forget about it. But it was great, and they were really happy with that show. And then they had a producer friend that was in the crowd who they asked how did it sound, and he said it sounded good. So off to a good start.
Nice.
That chilled me out. Next couple of shows,
not so good.
No, but that was mainly due to the rooms. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses, but
it is. It's a very real thing.
I was at this place called the Globe in Cardiff.
Okay.
I mean, on spec should have been great. They had L-Arts, L-Acoustics, M32 again, but that room was just awful. I remember ringing it out. It's your computer's gone to Matrix.
Right.
I remember ringing it out and basically notching everything out because everything just sounded fucking terrible. And I was like, okay, this is just going to be one of those gigs. and there was 2 gigs in a row like that. So all of the band were like,
Did we make the right decision?
Yeah, and then it was the London show, which was at a Mirror actually.
Okay.
And all the labels coming down, so it's kind of big pressure. It was also Matt's birthday, his 40th birthday, so it's like a big sort of thing. But luckily, the guy, do you know Ben Beheshti?
Yes.
Yeah, so I knew him from before, and he again came in early because I'd asked him to. I was like, look, past couple of shows haven't been great, so could just let me in, and then it went off fine. Everyone was happy. The management who put me forward for the gig sort of shook my hand and was like, yeah, it's great. Okay. Did a second tour with them around Europe, ended up in some really nice venues on an SSL as well, which was, so I got like
the L500
L200.
Okay, so
yeah,
what is
smaller,
this, like
compact, but
32 channel disc or something?
Yeah,
I don't even know.
24.
Okay,
yeah.
Right.
And then JBL.
Fantastic sounding desks.
Oh, yeah,
my God,
lovely.
I always say even silence sounds better through those desks.
Yeah, it was old JBL VTX, so the same as what Coco had. So I was kind of used to that sound, but through Soundcraft, and then switching it to an SSL. I mean, it turned up a 58, and the whole tour was like doing loads to them and like notching out 200, And there I just turned it up, not even with a low cut on. I was just like,
right,
sounds good.
Yeah.
Straight off the bat. Annoyingly, the house tech, he was a lovely guy. It was at a place called F&R in Eindhoven. Wicked venue. Really, really awesome. I mean, that Netherlands have funding.
Oh my God,
this.
yeah.
So suddenly,
But whole of Europe, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's rephrase that. The sort of northern part of Europe, Germany, Belgium, Holland, Sweden, Norway, these guys, they really invest.
Yeah.
And then you get to southern Europe and it's a bit of a different story.
Yeah.
It's kind of hit and miss. And then you get to the UK and you're like, really? We're supposed to be a world leader here.
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on?
Yeah. I was finishing that tour questioning whether I should learn Dutch, I'd love to work out there.
Mate, I'd move there tomorrow.
Yeah.
I would move there tomorrow.
Yeah,
I mean, for me, it's easy because I really I understand the language. Yeah. I speak Afrikaans, so I love fucking with them, man. It's brilliant when I go to Holland, I speak Afrikaans to them, and you just see them for a bit like, I'm supposed to understand this, but I don't.
Right.
And then they reply in English, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice. Yeah, I don't have the memory for the language. Just doesn't. It goes in, out the other one.
All right.
Unfortunately, wish I could, but yeah. It was that was my second tour, and then I got another one coming up in May. Yeah, but I'm tour managing as well. So,
cool. Nice.
So yeah,
kudos, man.
Just booked a van, luxury 9-seater splitter for
fantastic
35 days, I think.
Sweet.
Which would be nice.
Sweet.
I was meant to be out in America actually in a couple of weeks, but they couldn't get me a visa because I'd never worked with them before. So they couldn't, they were like, well, why can't you hire a US citizen? And they were like, oh yeah. They don't have anything to back it up because I've never worked with them. So if
who is this?
This is now with a guy called Jordan Mackampa.
Okay, so it's another band.
Yeah.
Right.
And he, it was all down. I mean, Matt as well went to the US, but they couldn't afford the visa to get me out there and anything. These guys had the budget for it and have got a sound guy now in the US, and I was going to do it and wish I could, but
it's a shame.
Strict border controls.
No, man, that is. They don't fuck around, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun once you're out there, once you've passed that line, mate.
Yeah.
I went out there twice in 2012 with James McCartney.
Nice.
And the guitarist, lovely guy, fantastic, Jay Ledger, right?
Yeah.
And so we're at customs coming in to the USA on a 6-week tour, and I mean the TSA agents, they not known for having a sense of humor. Right? So we've got 9 people, 12 suitcases, 2 keyboards, 7 guitars, some drums. We brought everything.
Yep.
And the lady, she's like, "Oh, are you musicians?" And we're like, yeah. Like, are you guys here to play some shows? And he just looks her in the eyes like, well, we're not here to fuck spiders, are we? And she's like, oh, okay, go on through. Luckily,
surprised you got away with that,
mate, I tell you what, we were just like, yeah.
Don't say that. Not the time.
Then, it was funny.
Man, yeah.
But the States are fun, man. It's great out there. Once you get out there.
Don't say that now.
It's all right. You'll get out there, mate. Fucking hell, you've been in this game 4 years. It took me a little bit longer before I started getting out.
I've realised I'm just very lucky.
Yeah,
who I've met.
Yeah,
and,
but I mean, you know what? It's not just that. It's your attitude. You're a good guy, and you're willing, and you're helpful, and it's like Tim said in the very first one. You can teach somebody to be a sound engineer, but you can't teach them to have the right attitude.
Yeah.
And that is so important.
Mm-hmm.
We get people. I've had work experience people come in, and then after like once or twice they're like, right, when am I going to start getting paid? When is my first shift?
Yeah.
Or just straight off the bat, like, where can I invoice for my time? Like, hold on.
You can kind
when
of
you
tell
came
that.
when you came into this, I explained to you very well. This is going to be a learning experience. You're going to get to meet a lot of cool people. You're going to get to meet engineers. You're going to meet great bands, cool people. So, take what you can from it, but I cannot absolutely give you any work or guarantee you any work. But, some of the people that I've brought in, they had the right attitude and they came back and now they're working. They're actual working engineers. So if you have the right attitude, as you do, and you're a nice guy, the opportunities will present themselves to you, mate. And you're not a bad engineer either. I mean, I think it's a very 50-50 thing. You 50% of the time you have to be a good person and amenable, and the other 50% of it is your engineering. But I've seen a lot of times where people would take an okay engineer that they really get along with above a shit hot engineer who's an absolute dick.
And it makes sense because
you're going to spend a lot of time together.
That, and also if you're doing a show and you hate the guy doing your sound, you're not going to perform in the same way, are you? I remember doing a gig for Matt. It's this, what was the venue called? Names, I'm bad with names. There's a venue right by Geneva. What was it called? Anyway, tiny little room, 3 monitors, and there's 5 of them in the band, but they need 6 mixers because one of them switches mics, and they're used to having like 6 wedges, if not more, sometimes ears. Suddenly they were down to 3. It's a little room. It actually sounded good. Like the PA was set up nicely for the size of room. Small room, and they should have played somewhere bigger because it was just sold out instantly, packed, really good vibe. And I really enjoyed the show and got, because I didn't have to put overheads or hi-hat mics, things like that. So it was a very like bare bones kick, snare, toms, very simple in comparison to what I was doing in other shows. And so I was quite happy with the mix like straight away because half of it was coming from stage. So during the show I was like messing around with reverbs, delays, and I was nodding along because I was enjoying the show. It was a good atmosphere. Went up to Matt afterwards. He's like, I like that show. I was like, I really liked you dancing on the desk. Like, you should do that more. Like, it gave us a good vibe. And you forget sometimes because like when you're in your little hole, your world, and you're in your booth, you sometimes forget that actually the musicians can see you and what you're doing. When I did the first tour, I noticed that every single house engineer during the support band was on their phone at some point during the show.
Or all the time.
All the time, regardless of whether you're doing anything, whether you're touching the desk or not, if you're just looking at the musicians, that is part of your job, or at least if you want to do it well. Not saying I do that all the time.
No, I myself, I'm guilty, but
but there's a balance, isn't there? You like some because you can't. If you do that all the time, you'll end up tiring yourself out. But I was doing not doing a show. I was working at this show down at London Palladium on Tuesday with this.
It's a great venue.
Yeah,
Fantastic,
awesome night. I mean, it was like a Peter Green sort of concert. They're doing all his songs. Mick Fleetwood was there, Noel Gallagher. It's like crazy lineup.
Right.
But the monitor guy there was amazing. I mean, I've never seen someone so it was being recorded for DVD, I think, and there were camera operators on stage during the show. Whenever a couple of times, camera ops would be in front of the monitor guy, in his eyesight. He was just like, fuck out my way, waving his arms around, getting whoever was by the side of him just to move them out of the way. It's like, don't fucking do that.
This is my line of sight.
And he'd just be there like that all show. It's 2-hour show. Every time they'd do a request, I saw
within
him.
a second.
Yeah, and also sometimes he wouldn't move the fader because he knew he was on the edge of feedback or whatever. But he would he'd be that, and he'd literally make the biggest gesture. He'd just be like that, stare at them right in the eyes, just hold his thumb up until they look back at him, and he'd go like that. And if they nodded, he'd put his thumb down, sit by the desk again. But the whole 2 hours, he was like that, not breaking eye contact with anyone. That's more than doing the sound in a way. That's
100%.
That's actually making them feel comfortable, knowing that you're on their side, making them realise that you care, and that's all part of it.
You're paying attention.
Yeah,
they're paying attention to their job. It could be hard not to.
Yeah,
but we got to also for say. It's a 2-hour show. You got 24 hours in the day. You've got another 22 hours to fuck around and do whatever you want. Yeah. Right. But you're there, being paid to be there, and so it is an important thing. I remember there was an engineer. I'm not gonna name names. He used to mix his dance tracks or watch a movie during the show on his laptop. Put his laptop on the desk. And he would have his headphones on, and he would either mix his dance tracks or he would watch videos. And I've heard so many times bands come to me and complain, this guy, man, I had to leave the stage and go stand in front of him
before
put my hand in front of his screen to get his attention. And I mean, plus he's got headphones on, so he won't even know whether there's feedback or not. So he didn't last long.
Right.
Just, but that's not a vibe. No. You definitely don't want to do that. Yeah. You want to be there, and you want to be on top of it. I think it's very, very important. Yeah. But I appreciate that you've, like I said, you've come up through the ranks. You've done your time. You did the shitty gigs for the no money. You went and did free work, shadowing, this and that, and it's so important. I find a common thread with everybody I've spoken with. They've had this road, this journey where it's not, like I said, I am super fortunate for having, I kind of feel like I almost cheated my way in, because I started working with Ronnie straight away. But I did do shitty gigs, and I did do other things, and I have done that, through my life coming up. And my journey was a bit different. I did crewing, and I did all sorts of other things to get to where I am. And I think it's very important, just the resilience, to keep going. And to, if this is your passion, this is what you want to do, fucking stick it out, man. Suck it up for a bit. It's gonna suck, and it's gonna be hard, but you're gonna get there. And if the fire runs out before you get there, maybe it wasn't meant for you. So
before we go on, I need the toilet.
Right. Let me.
I don't know if you can.
Right. So we're back in. Okay.
Here we go.
So what have you got coming up
work wise?
Tours and things like that.
Tours. So I'm doing a UK and Europe tour, which is going to be interesting. Now that
Is this with Matthew?
No, this is with Jordan Mackampa,
Right.
26-year-old, 27 maybe. It's great. Sort of similar.
Just tell him to
Music.
hang on. Don't join the 27 club.
No.
You know the 27 club.
Oh God, yeah.
All the musicians
you're
that
right.
either
Kurtz,
suicided
I
or
know.
died at 27.
Amy Winehouse.
Kurt Cobain, Jim Morrison,
Yeah.
Hendrix.
Yeah.
You can just ramble on. They're all there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of conspiracy around that, but we're not going to get into that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Right. So you got a tour coming up with Jordan.
Yep.
Doing Europe and UK. Did you say?
Yeah.
Nice. When
Yeah.
is this?
When?
Yeah. Soon.
It's and
Not today.
Not today. It's
Hi Louis, where are you? We're at the airport. We're waiting for you.
Yeah. Well, they're off to do this US run in a
Okay.
couple of weeks, and then I'm doing the UK. They come from where do they come from? LA and then to Southampton.
Great. That's going to be
Yeah. So they're
Bit of
going to
a-
have a jet lag,
oh mate.
but they got a few days off in between actually.
Oh, that's
Thank
all right.
God.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm doing that month and a half, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The show in London's at Scala.
Cool,
Went
man.
down there
Cool.
Sunday actually. Met Isabella Tech there. This guy called Dan as well, who apparently was on Tim's first tour. Small
Right.
World. Apparently, I can't remember what the band were called, but that heavy metal band that Tim was doing. He was their
Electric
tour
Eel
manager.
Shock.
That's the one.
That's right. He was the tour manager.
He was the tour manager. Yeah.
Oh, right.
It was his 1st
I've-
tour.
I think I've met him as
yeah.
well. Yeah, I
Yeah.
met him at Tim's birthday party.
Oh,
fucking
right, yeah,
years
yeah.
ago.
He's cool, man.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
really
yeah.
nice. Isabella as well. I mean, they're just lovely,
Mm.
lovely to go down. I love doing that as well. Like when I often try and just kind of. Well, I went to a gig there because my friend was playing, and I chatted to Dan, not knowing who he was, and just mentioned I was doing a show there later on in the year. Could I come down? Because they have the Alan Heath D Live. I've never been on one,
Mm.
never seen one. Well, I did on Sunday, but before that I hadn't. And I just wanted to know what I'm doing before a show,
Well,
because
that's great that you do that, man.
yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy sort of stepping up to something if there's a house check there and them showing me. But obviously, it's this kind of pressure beforehand where you're kind of going into a gig thinking, "Fuck, I hope this desk is simple," and it is. I mean, my God, I mean, it's got some features on that desk which I'm just like, why doesn't everyone do it? Like the select. I don't know if you've been on them, but the select button, which you normally get on most desks, they then have a mix button underneath, which basically just changes. It's like flip the fader,
Oh,
but on
brilliant.
any channel.
Yeah, actually, yes, I have.
Yeah.
Fuck, where it was somewhere. I think it was a show we did in Stockholm. I was going to do like.
Yeah, they're really nice. I mean, you could, like the Digico, you can route channels anywhere. I mean, put them on
Yeah.
layers
Yeah,
anywhere
yeah,
you
yeah.
want. And this mix button is great. I mean, because I started on M32, the way I mixed, like with monitors and effects, I would select the input channel, flip that, and then I'd have all the aux sends that were
Yeah.
on minus infinity, and I was
Mhm.
moving them up. On a lot of desks like Soundcraft, Digico, you can't do that. You can only do it from the mix or the aux send.
Yeah.
So I remember when I first came into Ronnie's, I was asking Gaz, I was like, how do I do this? He's like, that's impossible, you can't do that on live desks. And I was like, yeah, you can. And then he sent me a video actually, one of X-Factor 2, being like, do you mean this? I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, it's great. Why doesn't Digico have it? And I'm like, yeah, right,
Tell
it's
me.
great. Because like I used to do all my, if there's one vocalist or something, I just used to select his channel, and then I've got all the
All the
reverbs, delays. So I just used to be able to like do everything
That's great.
straight away, whereas
Yeah.
on a Digico you have to go right. I mean, unless you do it with the pots, but that's
Mhm.
I don't like doing that.
How I mean, obviously there are two ways of doing it. You can go to the input channel, and then you can go with
Yeah,
the
you can.
aux pots,
Yeah,
or you can go sends on fader.
yeah,
And the way I approach that is if I'm doing a single instrument that I have to distribute around the stage, I'll go on the input and then the pan
Pots,
pots. But if I'm dealing with one person's monitor, then I'll go to the sends on fader and then give them what they want.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I seem to always avoid using the pots. I never touch them. I mean, obviously for EQ and stuff you have to, but yeah, I generally never ever do that because I just learnt on an M32 and everything was there on faders. But yeah, I mean it's not a huge difference. But on this Allen Heath, you can do that, and it's on every channel. You don't even need to hit flip fader. Nice. You just go mix.
Great.
But I was talking to him about it, and Dan seemed to sort of be an analog, old school guy. I mean, I think they had an MH3 down there until recently, and then they got this D-Live, and he said he was a bit apprehensive about it. He was like, I don't really like digital. He seemed to kind of hate Digico as well. But he was like, it's fucking simple. Like everything's there. Everything that you want to do is right there in front of you. And it, straight away he showed me it like 5 minutes in, and I was like, yeah, I could run a show off this easy. But he said like most desks are probably going to be like this, like in a few years' time, because everyone's taking an idea off one another.
Yeah.
In 10 years' time, they'll all do the same thing.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, they already kind of do, but in different ways. But at one point, they'll just be a set way. It's like, they did that.
I mean, if only SSL can
that's what I was
sort
bring
their
up.
shit out. Man.
Yeah, honestly, I was just about to say that.
Actually. We were going to get an SSL in Ronnie's. It was between the Digico and the SSL.
Yeah, I know.
And I mean, I don't know the exact whole story, but it was they didn't want to change the way that they were programming it and calling things. Like the call groups or DCAs were called stems and things like that. And our main focus was, can we get this so it's user friendly for touring engineers coming in? Because yes, we do the majority of the work there, but about say 15% of the time bands bring their own engineers. And these guys, we don't want to be sitting there. The booth isn't huge. Okay, so you don't want to be sitting there the whole show just in case he needs to know where to do this. You want something that's like that, there you go. Or you've worked on this desk before. Yep, got it. See you later. I
also heard it was really hot as well, right? There's heat coming off the desk.
The SSL. My God, you can fry an egg on that. It's feel like you're getting a suntan because it's so bright. Everybody called it the spaceship. All the stuff, they're like, oh, you got the spaceship on. Because we're all illuminated.
Right,
you're going to have the lights off in the club and it'll just be like the sun shining from the booth. I mean, the sun definitely shines from their assholes in terms of great sound. There's nothing like it. But, the Digico sounds perfectly fine, mate. For us, it was an upgrade from the Yamaha M7, which great, easy desks. But
got all the faders there as well, which is nice.
It's all like you can see it, all of it. I mean, ever since then, Yamaha have stepped up their game in the preamp section. The desks are sounding better. The CLs and the QLs, they're much better sounding desks. And they still work the same way. So if you could have worked an 01V, you can work a Yamaha QL. They're very, very similar and very easy to work. So that's I think that's probably. But I mean, Yamaha have been making musical instruments since
motorbikes.
They started with instruments,
and
then they started making motorbikes. That's why the Yamaha is the 3 pitchforks. They're instrument makers primarily. So then you went in there and you met Dan, and you got to work on the D-Live.
Well, I didn't work on it. I was just because it was 2 bands and
so you've got a show coming up there. So that's the first one with.
He does a few UK shows, and then that's like their main one in London. I think they're on track to selling out, but he's doing a few festivals as well. I'm not quite sure which ones. He keeps getting at it because he's quite new. I think this is first. I think I should know. It's his first album,
right?
So it's like a first big tour,
big push.
So it's great to be on that because he's got like they sort of said, oh yeah, what are you doing in December? We've got like a mini run. We want to. Funnily enough, they want to do Coco if that reopens.
Yeah.
And they really want to do Shepherd's Bush Empire, but that would be amazing.
That'd be great. Yeah, it's a great room.
Yeah.
Can be.
Yeah.
Great room.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was I speaking to? And Les Momsen, and I think he said that he had not personally, but he'd seen a gig in there and it wasn't great. But then he'd seen gigs in there that were really good. Yeah. I mean, I've done Hammersmith Apollo, which for me was a dream, to do the sound there. And it sounded good. It sounded. I was very happy with it, and there were. Do they have? I think there were about 2,000 other people there that were very happy with it. So that to me is a good enough sort of comb.
Was this with Simande or
with ceramic?
Ceramic.
Yeah, yeah. With Simande,
I think Brixton O2 with them. Did you?
Yeah. Who did I do? Where I think it was in Brixton.
Yeah.
Can't remember. But I think the Brixton show we did was the Lambeth County Fair, which was, I think that was the biggest one I did. I'm not 100% sure of the numbers, but I think it was something like 20,000 people, which was that was awesome. It was great, and they're a lovely band. We're going to Spain in July, which is amazing. So
is it like a run or is it just a
2 days?
Festival?
2 days. Yeah, we're doing one in Madrid and one in Barcelona.
Cool.
But I'm hopeful that it's gonna pick up with them a little bit because they've got a documentary coming out soon.
All right.
Because they were in the 80s, they were heavily sampled. I think one of their tracks is the most sampled tracks in hip hop.
Yeah.
All the early hip hop guys, and they all
awesome.
Proper sampled their stuff. So there's this whole journey, and they went away for a long time, and now they're back, which I'm very happy about because they're great guys, and the music's fantastic.
Oh yeah, I used to listen to them a lot. I still do. But yeah, they're a band.
And
that's the first time I met you was doing their gig at Ronnie's.
Right,
actually.
Same with 2 years ago, a year ago,
last year ago. Yeah, I've been there since last January before this one. Yeah, and then I met Tim when he was doing Nigel Kennedy as well. Yeah. So
Nigel's great.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but he's great.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. Fucking loud.
Yeah. Tell me, the first I did the when he was doing the Jimi Hendrix experience.
Yeah, that's
about 7 years ago. This was maybe 8 years ago.
Right. Was he not doing that? I can't remember.
Yeah. And that was a festival of fun. There was just all sorts of things that nearly went wrong. But I mean, I think the closest we got, he turned up on time to start the gig. Drove up to the front of Ronnie's, got out. His friend went and parked his car. He walked on, grabbed his violin on the way to the stage, plugged it in, and he just ripped it. It just was, at least he showed up on time. I mean, one of our colleagues was less fortunate recently, where the act decided to show up half an hour late for the main show.
What can you do?
Well, there's nothing that you can do.
Yeah.
There's nothing. You just got to roll with it. And I think that is one of the other things that, because he was panicking quite a bit.
The engineer.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, what am I going to do? And that's something that you also just have to kind of learn with the time, where some things are out of your control.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's going to happen, sometimes it's not, and then sometimes you can fix things. I mean, we had Foreplay was in Ronnie's a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, and I lied, 2 minutes before they were due on stage, this is Saturday night, packed out, first house, and the whole of Frith Street went down. All the power,
Right.
everything, right. And they're an electronic band. The only things that are acoustic are the drums.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, they didn't even. Normally, they wouldn't use the piano. It's just keyboards and synths, and they've got this sound that's theirs. Yeah. And we were okay. So straight away, I said to the waiters, "Listen, guys, candles, plenty of them, please, everywhere. And if you could put 2 tables on the stage, fill them with candles, okay? So we've got some light in the club,
right?
Because there was nothing.
Is this before the UPS? So you had no desk?
No, there was no power, mate. Even if we had the UPS, the amps would have been off, the lights were off, the tills were off, everything was off, right? I went to them, I said, so this is the situation that we're in. And luckily, these guys are so awesome and professional. They're like, okay, what can we do? I brought out the double bass for the bass player. The keyboard player jumped on the piano.
Nice.
And the guitarist, he was strumming along, luckily had a hollow body. But this was the very next day we bought that little Vox battery-powered amp.
Right.
So he was strumming along so you could hear something, and everybody was playing down. Okay. Yeah. And it's luckily not a vocal band, it's instrumental music. So we got away with that one. And he would sing his solos, the guitarist. And we got through probably about 45 minutes of the set, and then the power went back on. And I mean, that was just such a victory. Yeah. In terms of these guys, because they could, there was people crying.
Yeah.
It was this
and when
thing.
Else do you get to see that?
Yeah, because they could have very rightly just said sorry.
Yeah.
We're an electronic band. This is what it's going to be. So unless you get the fucking power working, we're not going on. But they weren't. They were super cool, and I think that in my mind, that's a huge victory.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's see what you can do and what you can't do, and where I always say that I'm not a numbers guy in terms of I have to have this desk or these mics or that. Whenever I get to a venue, obviously I've got preferred things, and that'll go on the stage plot, in the rider. But if I get to a venue and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I couldn't get this," and I'm like, "Man, it's a mic, bro. It's a fucking mic. You know, you've got a desk. It's a desk. So let's make it work." I think we are. My sort of
ethos
level where I set a good engineer is somebody who can go into any situation and make the best of that situation.
Yeah.
Rather than throw your toys out the cart and be like, I can't do this and whatever.
Yeah.
It's adaptability, which is the
Definitely,
main thing.
Yeah.
And if you can be helpful and adapt to any situation, I think that definitely helps your cause a lot.
Yeah. 100%. Especially in live as well.
Mate, yeah, I mean, it's live or death, right?
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
There's no take two. There's no, and I think I that's what I probably like about the live. Yeah, because it's sometimes intense, but it's in the moment.
Yeah, I feel like studio nowadays. I mean, I've not really had that much experience in it, but I've done a bit, and there was one session I did with a producer called Sonny Johns, who's really good engineer, does a lot of jazz records, used to work for World Circuit Records. But yeah, he came in, he did a session, I was just shadowing, and recorded it all, and he was mixing it, and the guys were sort of putting in drum samples and like, "Oh, I don't like that sound of the kick drum, can we put in this?" He's like, "Well, I've recorded it like this, so we're gonna have to use samples." And came in a month later, and they asked him to take all the samples out because they preferred the original kit. And I was like, "So really, that last session is just a waste of time. Like, he'll have been paid for it, but actually, what you're getting done is nothing." And I think that I'd just be so demoralised, like being sort of almost like a slave to the musicians in a way.
Mm.
I mean,
their
it's their music, so I get it. Like, it's, you know, we're just engineers. Like, you have to do, it's their sound.
Yeah.
You're just making it happen. So I wouldn't argue with them and say no, we're doing it my way, because it's their music. But at the same time, I much prefer to be sort of, you know, right, we've got this time limit, this is what's going to happen, and then, you know, like, I've got these many hours that I'm working for, where a studio can just go on and on and on, and then it might not amount to anything, you know. And then I can't imagine what it's like getting pay out of some people, especially starting out. Like, I don't know, but you got to be really tight on them and be like, look, we've done 6 mixes already, I'm now charging per mix, and to have the confidence to go, I'm not touching it until you pay me more. I don't know if I'd have the balls to do that.
I think that's always been kind of maybe a hindering factor for me, where I wouldn't sell myself as a mix engineer. I can do it. I've mixed albums and things, but I definitely don't have the same confidence than I do doing live gigs. I mean, and I'm by no means a great engineer, you know, but I've done it long enough to be calm and to be able to go into situations and be able to deal with things. I think my adaptability is probably what's kind of kept me hanging around. People haven't gotten rid of me because I'm such a cunt. You know, it's the ability to adapt and quickly figure things out. I think is a very important
also
thing.
You are fucking quick. I mean, I've seen you running around Ronnie's, like, set a huge band up in like 30 seconds, and I'm like still coiling a cable, and you're like, yeah, I've done the drum kit, I've done the keyboards, and I'm like, what? Yeah, no, you're really good.
Good. Well, that's good.
Yeah. No, man, that's it's hard. It can get hard, and like
it can,
especially with timings. I mean, again, keep going on about this gig on Tuesday. It's just like stressful. We got in at 8 a.m. I didn't get out in there till like 1 a.m. next day, and it was full on. Like we had like a sandwich bought for us that we quickly ate, and we did get some dinner, but it was non-stop, and it was not only non-stop, it was non-stop with like a high pressure all the time. Like I remember the monitor guy sort of coming up to us, and they'd line checked everything, we'd line checked alongside them, and then we had a few extra mics that were put up for broadcast, like ambience and drum mics and so on, and he came up, so he's like, anyone from broadcast? Yeah, right, we're fucking done right now, so we're waiting on you to get this show going. Now, we're not rushing you need to do your job, but just do it as fucking quick as possible, and then we can fucking start sound checking. Suddenly there's like, it's not like, hey mate, how you doing, do you mind doing this? It's like authority, power, pressure,
right.
Get this done as soon as possible. And everyone was like that for the whole show, and
it doesn't help.
I don't know, man.
You know,
like I was thinking about it, and I was like, I've done a few. There's this company called Red TX that I get these gigs with, and I did Download Festival with them. That was the
envious.
first one, and one of my favourite bands is Slipknot. Growing up and got to be with them, so that was
Corey
surreal.
Taylor, what a voice!
It was. I was on stage too, and it was the last day was Anthrax, Dream Theater, and then Slayer.
God damn!
Like one after another. Fucking stressful. Like everyone's eating that. Like because it's stage 2 as well. It's quite. I mean, it's a big stage. Yeah, it's SSE.
Yeah.
And but it's not huge. It's not like main stage. And you've got like, I think there's 8 bands on a day at Download. Yeah. So you're starting at like
midday.
Yeah.
The first band.
Yeah. So the PA guys are in from like 6 a.m. because the guys are line checking or sound checking for the headliner. What was I saying? So we're doing this all day, and there was like 9 monitor desks side of stage, 9 front of house
ready to
desks,
go,
pyro desk, Guitar. I mean, the guitar, like they had 4 Marshall 4x10s, none of them being used, just for show.
Yeah.
And then they had a guitar tech side of stage with a load of different heads routed to, you could switch different cabs. For both guitarists, bass the same. The drum tech was backstage tuning the kit. This is for Slayer all day. Like all day is just back there changing the skins, because this was their last UK show as well. It's their last tour.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for me, kind of when Hanneman died, it was like, should you really? It's hard. It's hard sometimes because I mean, for me, AC/DC is my all-time favorite band. Right. The reason I play guitar is because I wanted to be Angus Young. Man. Yeah. But obviously, being born in '83, Bon Scott was already dead. And everybody, it's funny because people still regard as Bon Scott as AC/DC's guy, but then Brian Johnson has been there for 40 years. Yeah. 40 years. Yeah. He did a great job, obviously. But it's hard to replace members. I mean, when they're dead, I don't know. It's hard to
and the camaraderie of it all as well. I mean, it's
fans get funny sometimes though.
Fans as well. Yeah. It's really tough. Well, have you seen? There's this video with Metallica playing Download, and Lars Ulrich is often deemed to not be the greatest drummer in the world, but he fucking started the band and like produces them as well. Good guy. But there's a gig at Download actually in 2005 where he's ill and he
2006. I was there.
No way.
I was there.
You saw it.
Yep. And Slayer's drummer Joey Jordison from Slipknot played. And another, but Joey Jordison did 7 songs, I think. Yeah. So he was the majority drummer for the gig.
But Battery, the first track that they do. What's the? I can't remember the original Slayer guy's name. I've fucking forgotten what it's called. But anyway, it was just amazing, like seeing him do the double kick stuff.
Because I mean, they came up together, like Slayer and Metallica. They came up together at the same time.
Yeah, and then Joe was just like a massive fan of them. He must have been like, what the fuck,
just shitting himself.
Yeah.
That was a great show. Fuck, man, that was
you were
such
there.
it was a good weekend.
I was watching that on YouTube the other night.
It was good. And then the next day, fucking, what was it? Yeah, because it was someone, then Metallica, then Guns N' Roses on Sunday night, and then Axl Rose was just being a twat. They went on 45 minutes late because he had to have his lamb dinner cooked. I know this because one of my tutors in college, her husband worked on the crew that did that tour. Right. Which basically bankrupted them because of all the fines they had to pay because of him acting out in various ways.
Didn't they? Did they also request like their own stage? Is that the Download? They had like another stage because but
I mean AC/DC has done that before as well because they were on a tour. Like when 2010 when they played Download, they had their own stage because they had it with them and it was part of their European tour. Right. So they had everything there and everything was ready and everything. I mean, it's great. Yeah, but they didn't get their own stage. Right. In 2000. I don't think they did. Right. But the reason they were on late is because Eat to the Beat, crew catering. Fucking amazing. Right. Great food, amazing everything. But Axl didn't want to eat. He wanted his lamb roast because he travels as a chef and everything, right? And his chef thought he had the fucking night off. Yeah, good luck with that, mate. Also built into the contract or written into the contract is you cannot say no to Axl Rose. You lose your job on the spot if you say no to him. So you have to make it work. Anyway, so they were on late because he wanted his lamb roast. And half of the stuff had been packed away from the catering already because it was Sunday night. It was after 8. Everybody would have been fed, and everybody was looking to get an exit. So they had to unpack things and restart the stoves, reconnect the gas, and his chef had to cook him this lamb dinner, which they had to source from the butchers in town. They had to call a guy. It was a fucking thing, man. And I think he got fined some stupid amount of money for getting on late
Right.
He was 45 minutes late getting on stage. And festivals, they don't take kindly. They don't care who you are, mate.
Yeah,
I mean, places like the Royal Albert Hall, it's £1,000 a minute running over.
Really?
After curfew. It's £1,000 a minute, mate.
What? After curfew, not if they get on late. No.
Well, I don't know about that. I suppose,
That's
you just have to end at curfew.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if there's a fine for going on late. Normally people are pretty on it. But I have been there seeing people run over. And I'm like, oh, what are we going to do? And everybody's just like, money's rolling, mate. Money's rolling.
Wow. I mean, that's to do with licensing, right? So,
Yeah. But nobody goes and stops the show or anything. They're aware. They've been told.
Yeah,
it's in the contract.
You don't want to piss whoever's on stage off. It's not your job.
Yeah. I mean, very well known, very respected artist. I came in and he was at that stage 23 minutes past curfew. So that was an expensive encore. That's an expensive encore.
My God. Fucking hell.
So, yeah.
This industry's crazy, isn't it? Like, the money just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. It doesn't. And I think the distribution of it as well is sometimes you're like, what? Really? Okay. Well, I guess that's how that works.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. Anyway. So, you've got a tour coming up. UK, Europe with Jordan
Mackampa.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have some stuff on social media and then when are you going out with Matthew again? Is that
I
still
don't know.
happening?
I don't know what's happening with that. I have no idea. So just that at the moment. And then venues. I'm sort of waiting to see what happens with Coco because that was an awesome place.
Yeah, man.
So I'll see what happens there. At the moment, I mean, there's loads of venues I haven't actually been to in London. I mean,
same here. Man.
Same. Like when it's hard when you got a night off. You're like, I should go to another venue, but at venues all the time. I don't want to then spend my night off at one. But I really want to go to Ali Pali because they've got a new theatre opened up. So the old booking manager no, he wasn't booking manager, but he now is the booking manager for Ali Pali. He used to work at Coco, or one of the many that they've got there. But he said, they've opened up this theatre that was been there since like 1920 or whenever it was made. And they've just reopened it for
awesome.
gigs.
Awesome.
So not just they used to run like theatre stuff every now and then, but now they've got a new PA system in. They've redone it,
amazing.
Built it all up. Apparently, it was burnt down when it was first created, rebuilt, and then for some reason they never used it.
Right?
Why? It's like 3,000 cap. Why you'd have something like that just lying around?
But Ali Pali is absolutely huge. It's so big.
Yeah, it's 10,000, right?
It's so big, man. But I mean, even just going up there at night and watching the view of London is worth it. It's worth it.
Well, apparently they're thinking of doing loads of things. They're thinking of doing a festival out there as well in the summer.
They should do, man.
Yeah, they're going to do that maybe this
Every
year.
Tom, Dick and Harry's got a festival now, so they might as well and do it well and have it in London because there are plenty of festivals in London, I suppose, but a lot of the good ones you got to go out.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Go out. Yeah,
the best ones.
Well, a lot of the festivals in London are mainly there to fund the parks. And it's working at Wireless last year, which Finsbury Park, and they have 3 weekends of festivals in a row. They have, I can't remember what the first one is, but they have Wireless, then Finsbury Park Festival, and something else.
Another one. Is it Love Box?
I think that's at Victoria Park.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
but I can't. They've got something. 3 weeks of something, and. Yeah, they nearly got shut down because there was complaints. They had a noise limiter, but apparently the reference mic that takes the noise limits only registers like 1K, or that's where it's set. And this is a hip hop event, so all of them just turn up the subs, which is what carries anyway. Yeah. So like even though it's technically quieter, it's still carrying as far as it is. So it's kind of pointless. Yeah. Anyway, legally they're quieter, but. Yeah, this festival was nearly shut down. The way they got around it was saying, well, if we don't run these festivals, we'll lose fund, and that's how we make the money to run the park, and the park will become houses. And everyone was like, oh, okay, we can put up with 3 weekends of noise.
Man, just don't be a bitch.
Right?
Come on, man.
Right? Well, fucking, like in Norwich,
people with money, that's the problem, bro.
Yeah, and like they just moved next to a venue and then complain about it. It's like, you knew this was a venue. Yeah, apparently there's a law now to stop that happening. Like if you've got a venue and you've been up for like 10 years, you legally can't complain about the noise if you're living right nearby. I mean, up to, like, obviously there's curfews, but up to that point you can't complain. Whereas beforehand, like, there was the venue in Norwich which shut down because some dick moved next to it and then started complaining. I was like, well, why move next to a venue? It's been there before you have.
Exactly. Before you were born, son.
Before you were born.
Right. Yeah, shit, man. What you gonna do?
I know.
Oh, well, we're just gonna keep cracking on.
I know.
Cracking on. Well, thank you for coming. I really appreciate you being here, making
Pleasure.
the trek out.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
It has.
It's a lot of fun.
I know.
The time flies so quickly.
I
doesn't
know.
it?
I can't believe it. It's, like
it's great.
2 hours gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was fun. Thank you very much, man. And good luck with the tour.
Thank you very much.
We'll be putting up your socials, and we'll put...
I don't really have any, to be honest. So
well, we'll put up
Save
what
the
there
job.
is. We'll put up the website for the bands and stuff that you do. And so
Lovely tunes.
We'll see you around.
Cheers.
Keep it sound. Here we have it. I hope you've enjoyed that as much as I have. It was a lot of fun talking to Louis and sharing some fun stories from the road. And I will be sharing his social media, as will I do mine, as always. If you want to get in touch, see what we're up to, or I also have a Patreon page, and you can support me there, support the podcast. It's patreon.com/HeySoundGuy, and you can help out there. As always, like, share, subscribe, get the word out there. Keep it sound.